Philippe, welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. No problem. Thank you. So, tell us first. You're in the business of making furniture, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of like these sofas, but not these, I guess. But these are big things, right? These are big things that you have to make. You use raw materials. You transport them. You've got to dispose of them at some point. That doesn't sound sustainable off the top of my head, but you've come up with a business model that does tackle these issues, right? Can you introduce us a little bit to how that works?
Yeah, I've just give you a short introduction about who we are, and I think the most important thing is about how we do things. So MADEcom is a direct-to-consumer design brand. So we sell online. We are a pure player with a designer furniture. And everything we do at the end of the day is to create beautiful design at a great quality and an affordable price. So we are a pretty young company. So we started almost 10 years ago. Mid-sized business in our industry, probably very small compared to the people that are in this audience. So if we want really to make a difference, in our case, it's around and about the choices that we are doing for ourselves and the way we operate the business. And when we started 10 years ago, as a challenger, as a newcomer, so we set up a couple of values that we are sticking to, and that's extremely important. One is being a challenger, and what does it mean fundamentally is we want to do things differently from the others. And we are leveraging technology and data to achieve that. And the second big value embedded into everything that we do, we want to do things right. So we act with integrity. And those values have driven the way we've been running the business and the way we've been developing the brand over the last 10 years. And so I want to give you a couple of examples about how structurally we set up the operation and how we do things in a way which is a bit different from what the industry is doing, and we think is probably better, right, and in somehow more efficient on many perspectives. So first of all, we create our own products. Everything is exclusive to us. And so basically, we are collaborating with a lot of independent designers around the world. We receive designs, and we decided that we will develop and we will engineer by ourselves those products. What does it mean? It means that we are taking the drawings from those independent designers. We are specifying, we are looking at the raw materials. We are making sure that they are built in a way that it meets our standards of quality. But we are controlling that design process and that conception process to make sure that we are designed for product that will last. The second choice is around how we source and how we do collaborate with the manufacturing. We decided to have a direct link with the factories. So we have probably 150 factories around the world. We know every single business owners. We selected them, of course, thanks with their capacity to deliver the products that we want to make, but also making sure that they meet a couple of criteria. So how do they respect the workforce? How do they make sure that they're providing a safe environment? How they source the material? How they track the material? And we typically want to have 10 to 20% or 30% of their manufacturing capacity to have a capacity to have a say, to have a capacity to have a leverage, to ensure that what they do is consistent with the way we want our products to be done.
How do you manage that supply chain? I mean, with a business model like yours, they're not your factories, right? They're not.
Yeah, and so that's the other example is around typically the supply chain or the way the industry is working is producing a lot of products, trying to sell them, and at the end of the day, it doesn't sell as well as people expected, and then you are going through a huge markdown and discount period, typically in January and July, and we wanted also to change that. And so by the data we collect and by the direct relationship we have with our customers, we over time set up what we call a just-in-time supply chain. What it means, at the end of the day, it means we just produce what we think we're going to sell. And it's give us the ability to have a lean stock profile. And the advantage is at the end of the day, the markdown and the stock write-off and so on are extremely limited and much below the average and the standard of the industry. The drawback of it is if we get it wrong in our forecast, we ask our customers to wait a little bit longer for the next batch of production. And the latest example that I wanted to give you in the way we think about it and the way we set up is around the returns. We have product coming back to us from our customers. Typically, those products, boxes has been opened, they tried it, and sometimes they are not typically a product that we can resell. And so very early days, we set up our own operation of returns with the capacity to repair, to clean, to rebox. And we have people that have the knowledge, because we've been developing those products, to really try to repurpose everything that we receive back from our customers. And a big part of it, throughout those processes, are ready in a pristine condition to be resold. So overall, what we are trying to do is, throughout, at the end of the day, what we call a vertically integrated model, to really control every step of the product cycle and making sure that we are understanding, controlling what is happening at every step, monitoring that, and minimizing the waste, minimizing the unnecessary costs, and those this efficiency is reinvested either in quality, either in price, or also all initiatives to make the business model working better.
You've got customers choosing the products you make, as you said, right? How much are they demanding, asking for more sustainable materials or processes, transport, all that sort of thing? Are they voting on that?
I think as a direct consumer brand, I think the key element for us is about the discussion and the interaction we have with our customers. And that was really at the core about how we thought about this brand. And 18 months ago, we've launched a platform which is called Talent Lab, where every single designers have a capacity to publish and to post their design. And we ask the community of a customer to interact with those designers and to vote and to pledge and to crowdfund the project that they like. And more, we are seeing more sustainable-led type of product with recycled materials. And we try to engage, on one hand, the community of designers that we are working with, to push them and to have products where the environmental footprint will be limited. And on the other side, we are engaging our community of customers to make sure that we have a conversation. And at the end of the day, our customers have a say to select and curate the product that will be developed by MADE and ultimately will be sold throughout our platform.
What's the biggest challenge? I think you mentioned before that it's not so much the actual product itself, it's the packaging, right? Is that
Yeah, when we read and when I read the customers' comment and everything which is around those topics, I think the number one by far is the level of packaging. And that's quite obvious because people receive our product, they have to. And that's true, we have, there is packaging. And we have a friction there because typically our products are traveling, and there is no point to send a product that has been broken throughout the trip to our customers. So the friction is about how much you want to invest in packaging and making sure that you have something that will arrive in good condition to customers. And so we have engaged a lot of initiative about it. And if you look at the equation financially, we invest roughly 10 to 15% of the cost of a product into packaging. So we have room, and we are moving towards to rethink about the way things are packaged, reusing new type of material, new type, getting rid of polyester, and reinvesting in terms of research, because we know at the end of the day we can make it better, and we should have financially an equation that will be neutral at the end of the day. That's what we are aiming for.
What are some of those new packaging materials that you could use? I mean,
There's many companies that are bringing some new type of materials, and so we are looking at, and probably the number one category we are moving towards by the end of the year will be lighting, because you have different parts, it's more fragile. We have an intense use of polyester, and so that's the category that we are going to move to something that will be less polystyrene intensive from that perspective.
Okay. What about the transport itself? I mean, you're sourcing from dozens of factories all over the place, right? I mean, you have to bring delivering stuff direct to home, right? I mean, that involves quite a bit.
Yeah, we have, in terms of transport, we source 60% from Asia and the rest from Europe. But at the end of the day, you have one transport, which is from the factory to the logistic hub, and then the last mile. And for the last mile, we have taken initiative last year, and we are continuing those initiatives this year. So we have built our own fleet of last mile delivery in Paris, and that fleet is now fully hybrid. Electric is not a solution yet because we have a big, bulky, heavy items. So we haven't found any good solution at this point. And we are going to move to a full hybrid delivery fleet in London during the course of this year.
Okay. And I mean, do you think what you're doing is kind of scalable to, I mean, obviously, there are much bigger players. I mean, you have quite a few items on the site, but there are much bigger players selling a lot more furniture still, right, traditional ways. I mean, how scalable is it, what you're doing?
If you look at the entire life cycle of a product, there's a part in manufacturing, there's a part about transport, and there's a part in terms of last mile delivery. And there's a big piece that we are working on to tackle what we call the end of life. And when you buy something from us, typically, it's for replacing something that you already have. And so it does matter to us to understand what the product that we will replace in a way will happen. And so we are working with a lot of startups that are trying to tackle the wastage problem, especially in food, but also in terms of what you have in your home, to give the capacity and to empower our customers throughout circular economy principles to make sure that the product that they have in their home won't be landfilled. And if you look at a big issue overall in the industry, is about how much sofas, wardrobes, and chairs are landfilled every year. And I think as an industry and us as a newcomer, we need to act on that and to leverage data and to engage our customers and to sensibilize them on that topic and to provide them some solution. And that's what we are working on. And we are extremely happy to collaborate with other players in the industry on that topic.
How do you tackle that topic of the landfills? I mean, these are big, bulky objects, right? And there's a lot of it.
I think in our case, there are two subjects. It's about products that we have already sold, and we can take the responsibility to repurpose because we know how they've been made. We have a spare parts, and we understand how they've been built, and we can take our own responsibility on that. And then there are products that we haven't done, and that's difficult because also we should, if we take it back, we should carry some liability, and we don't have the technical expertise to repurpose them properly. So I think the solution is coming from how can we leverage that circular economy idea and making sure that we set up some peer-to-peer platform whereby people can exchange and can give away their products. with the ability to have a positive impact with our local community, but also a positive impact on the environmental perspective.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just looking at the kind of the title of this this discussion, you know, does corporate purpose need an upgrade, an update? I mean, how widely do you think what you're describing is shared, you know, in the industry? Is it, you know, how mainstream is this conversation?
Listen, it's. I think it's on top of the agenda of many of us. Mm-hmm. When I look at the level of, in a way, pressure or stakeholders, we know that is on top of mind of our customers, especially if you target the younger generation. I think we all share the same study and the same surveys. We all spend time in reading, understanding what our customers' feedback. I think from my perspective and where I get the maximum of pressure is about the people working with us. Mm-hmm. And we have employees that are in the late 20s, early 30s. And I can assure you that the number one question that I have in any all hands is about how we are doing around the sustainable initiatives, how fast we can go. Everybody wants to be involved into that. And at the end of the day, you should have, your number one customer should be your employees. And so the way I kind of feeling and the way I can feel this is the number one priority if you want to have a successful business in doing the right things, is really getting your employees, having a conversation to them and leveraging their passion and their concern to move the business in the right direction.
Does it come up in job interviews? Do you ask candidates about their views on this?
We have some question, and I think if you look at the profile and how going forward we're going to attract the right talent, mm-hmm. you need as a company to have something to say.
Okay, okay. And you get the right answers that you want, or?
I think we have the answers that we are moving and we are doing everything we can, and we're trying to do the right thing. And we try to impact in the remit of what we are doing. Mm-hmm. But I think we have a clear roadmap on that, and I can assure you that that's the number one thing I have to report to the people that are working with me.
Mm-hmm. So not quite a job interview, but I think we do have a poll question to ask of people if you want to respond. This is about you know, what you look for when you're buying furniture. So if we can have that poll up, I guess, and ask people to respond to that. Before we get into the results of that, also want to prompt anyone who wants to ask a question of Philippe, since that sometimes takes a few minutes for the tech to get through. So I'll put that out there as well. Please type in some questions for Philippe if you have them, and we could look at those after the poll, assuming we're getting poll results. I think will be coming up. What is the most important factor when buying furniture? Yes, we'll have it in a couple seconds here. Okay. Price, affordability, design, sustainability, durability. Okay. I guess those are kind of related.
It's kind of related. It's quality, how things are made, and making sure that they are going to be made in the right way. And maybe I should mention that as we do control what we are going to do next year, is to give all the internal information that we have on our supply chain. We're going to give that. We're going to make full transparency of those information to our customers. So we want them to have a view about where it's been made. Have we controlled the factory? Have we got the certificate of external auditors that we are using? how do we have certificates of the raw materials that we are using? And so everything that we have in our systems will be available to consumers before they're going to decide to buy from us.
Mm-hmm. Now, clearly, design still carries the day here at 52%.
Hopefully.
Is it? I mean, is sustainability part of the design at some point? I mean,
it's the way you design. You
yeah.
design to last. Mm-hmm. We don't want to sell disposable furniture. So the quality, you need, of course, to fall in love with the product that you are going to buy. But we want to make sure that you are buying a high-quality product, being made in the right way, having you the information about how it's been made, and making sure that you're going to keep it for long term.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, I've got a couple questions here, so from the audience here. One, talking about job interviews, is compensation linked to sustainability at MADEcom?
I have, yeah, my compensation, a part of it is linked to sustainability targets.
Mm-hmm. Yours and employees as well, or?
Mine and the executive committee.
Okay, okay. Is that kind of unusual in the industry?
No, I don't know. I think we set up it 2 years ago. So we have a board discussion. Again, the board is aligned to the values, making the right things. Mm-hmm. And so we set up a plan for ourselves, and I'm accountable for the execution of that plan. And so part of my bonus is calculated based on that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. And then another question, how prevalent are the are your circular economy activities? Do you have any extend producer responsibilities? I mean, I guess, kind of supply chain question here. How far do you go?
I think the circular economy is something that we are going to initiate next year. Mm-hmm. And it's around tackling, for us, the end of life of products. All products, again, is something that we're going to take the responsibility, and we have the knowledge and the operation to repurpose the product that we have sold. We want also to give, throughout circular economy mechanism, the ability to help people to do the right, our customers to do the right things.
Mm-hmm. And I guess a kind of related question to that is, do you design with disassembly in mind?
We do design, and you will see going forward much more initiative around the raw materials. So with recycled materials, new organic materials, and again, the Talent Lab platform that I described before. More and more, we're going to put some pitch and some requests to engage the design community to think about the sustainability more deeply and the use of materials as being the major driver of a design process.
Mm-hmm. Within the products themselves, I mean, what are the, I mean, you mentioned the packaging, obviously, is the biggest issue kind of around the business. But within the actual, a sofa or whatever, a lighting fixture, I mean, what are the toughest materials? What are the best new materials? Tell us a bit, about that side of
it. Foam. Mm-hmm. Is probably the toughest part of it, because it's coming from petrol. We don't have a good solution to replace that, and it's everywhere into the upholstered products. Mm-hmm. So there are initiatives to have recycled foam to be used and put into our products, but we don't have at this point of time good solutions for that, and so there are initiatives around that. We are trying to identify those initiatives, but that's probably the number one that is problematic in this industry.
Okay, what's a really cool new material that you're using?
We are doing a lot of bamboo. We are doing a lot of cane. We are doing a lot of. I think we are trying to use more and more organic and natural material in the way we design and the way we process. And if you go check out on the site, there's more and more things in that vein that we've been doing for the last 12 to 18 months.
Okay, okay. Somebody's asking if you could use the Allbirds foam.
Sorry?
The Allbirds shoe foam.
We've been discussing about it just before we arrived. Huh? Yeah. I think there's something to be done.
Broadening it out a little bit, I mean, we were also talking a bit before just generally about direct-to-consumer, obviously disruptive kind of approach, but also, I mean, how much of a solution is it? I mean, how much does it help, end-to-end to kind of go direct to the consumer on these issues, versus traditional kind of wholesaler, retailer kind of relationship?
I think overall, consumers are changing. The expectations are changing. They know how to read what is a marketing message. They know how to read what is a commercial message. And what they want now, and I think, is having to be engaged with the brands and to understand what they are doing. And we see over the last 10 years a new cohort of brands and retailers, and Allbirds are obviously part of that cohort, where we try to tell a story, we try to do the right thing, and we try to engage our customers and to have a discussion to say and to explain why we are doing things and how we are doing things. And in that new cohort of new brands, we have no strategy as far as I understand for both, and that's the same for us. We want to go to have this direct relationship, and we don't have any wholesalers. And the flip side of that is the industry, the retail industry has been organized over a long time. He's shaken because many things, but first and foremost because I guess and I think the customer expectation from that perspective has changed meaningfully over the last years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I've got, well, this is more of a comment actually. Someone's saying you should make more of your sustainability initiatives as a consumer proposition. What do you have coming up in the coming months? Anything you can?
I think I do recognize that we haven't talked, and it's not very well surfaced in our communication because we've been very focused on delivering what we want to do. We want to talk about it, and we want to talk about it in a genuine way. And we think that the right way to talk about it is to be transparent about how we are doing and giving the ability to our customers to have an informed decision before they buy something from us. Mm-hmm. So the big initiative for next year is really to give the information back to the customers and they say, this is what it is, this is where it's coming from, and this is how we do control, how the product you intend to buy has been produced.
You'll be revamping the whole site?
We will giving this information in every single product and what we have in our system that will be surfaced to customers.
Okay. Well, I'm conscious, I think we're coming to the end of the time, unless there's any wrap-up remarks you'd like to make. Any last questions here? One last one. Local sourcing, how much of that?
It does. We have a UK sourcing base, which represents around 10 to 15% of what we are doing.
Okay.
And we have the rest of what we are doing in Europe is more localized in East Europe, mm-hmm. which are wood-based materials products that we are doing because there's a culture, there's wood, and so on and so on. So I think we are going where the sourcing is. And over time, we have changed a little bit the mix of our sourcing.
Great. Well, I'm conscious that, we're at the end of the time here, I think, so we'll wrap it up. But Philippe, thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation again.
Thanks for your questions.